Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to some NBA props. Yesterday, we went 3-2 on the free picks. Julius Randle hook with only 30 minutes played really hurt. And Jalen Johnson missed because of blowout. So could have been 4-1, I think, yesterday. Should have been 4-1. But we don't dwell on the past. We move forward. Small slate today, but I got you a pick. We are betting on the best third option in the whole NBA, Chris Middleton. So let's talk about it. He left the Spurs game at halftime. Should we be worried about possible injury here? No. It was the second half of a back-to-back, and it was planned to have his minutes lower. He hadn't played both parts of a back-to-back yet this season. I think that was just to get him acclimated, so he'll be right back to his minutes he was at before, which had been 32 and 33 really consistently. But last time versus the Pacers, he played 32 minutes. He sat the last 2 minutes with the rest of the starters. He was on pace to play over 34 minutes in that last game, which would be a new season high. We're seeing low lines probably respecting the Rockets defense a little bit and probably because of last game a little bit, like a combination of both. His line got up to 19.5 points and 30.5 PRA. Now, it was against the Pacers, so it is a favorable matchup. But 15.5 points and 26.5 PRA for this game, too low of lines. I like both of them. In December, he literally shot 50, 40, 90 from the field. So his efficiency is back from a couple seasons ago. I think he finally has a rhythm with the minutes he's playing and playing with Dame and Giannis and playing off of them and getting open looks. His per 36 stats this season are 20 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 6.7 assists. He also had a field goal attempted line at 12.5, and I was thinking about that, but here's the stat I saw. Chris is over 15 of 20 last season and 11 of 13 this season when he has 12 or more field goals attempted. I think that's a pretty solid baseline here. With 30-plus minutes played, he's over PRA in all 7 games he had that happen, and in points, 5 of 7. Obviously gets stats boosted with Dame off and Giannis off. 25 points per 36 with Dame off, 27 points per 36 with Giannis off. He also gets about 2 short stints per game, maybe second quarter and fourth quarter, where both of them are off. He gets Luka Doncic usage in those numbers. Now, they're small numbers, but 0.91 points per minute when those two are off. I think a really slept on part of this bet is the matchup, though. The Rockets are without Dillon Brooks, who's been fantastic on defense, always takes the top guy. And over the last 5 games without him, their numbers on defense are bad. They have the 8th worst defensive rating in the league right next to the Bucks, whose defense has been widely criticized. And even though the Rockets are a slow-paced team, this game total is 239, which is 10 higher than the last time they played. And it's at Houston. Watching some of the film from last game, Brooks took Dame. So no Brooks now. I anticipate Van Vliet to take Dame now. That would leave Chris to Jayshawn Tate and probably some Jalen Green as well. Jalen Green is a top 10 worst defender in the league. And Jayshawn Tate is solid, but Chris gave him buckets. Chris had a 14-point fourth quarter last time these teams played, and Jayshawn Tate was covering him for a lot of that time. He was getting mid-range pull-ups, posting him up, taking him to the hoop, getting free throws, all against Jayshawn. And Jalen Green would just be barbecue chicken. If Van Vliet guards him at all, he actually did a decent job last time, but he is only 6 feet tall. Middleton's got a huge advantage. I'd look for him to take advantage of that as well. So I like a lot of his matchups today. And an underratedly bad defense for the Rockets. Also was taking a look at Jaylen Brown today at 21.5 points and PRA and all those different lines, just because the lines are lower than they have been. He's been sitting at a 23.5 point line. Just buying low off of pretty bad performances, and he's playing the Pacers. Obviously a really nice matchup for getting in the paint, transition, and a high total. If you look at the numbers, Jaylen Brown had 46 points in 56 minutes for the Pacers team this year. He only played 25 in 31 minutes. You have to expect much bigger numbers here. Also, Tatum played awful versus the Pacers last time out. He covered his lines, but it was all like in the last couple minutes. Overall, just like his buy low spot the most. Also, a chance that Porzingis might have an injury designation because he hasn't played a back-to-back, but we don't really know. Before we talk about the last 2 games, quick shout out to DG Fantasy. They are the owners of the correlation tool, probably the most powerful tool in DFS today. Also, they use sportsbook lines to compare to DFS books lines. An awesome tool. Every night before I start my research, I go right to GG Fantasy. Knicks Wizards is interesting because obviously there's a 9-point spread here. And Knicks are much improved with OG Anunoby, I feel like. But it is off a back-to-back. Kuzma lines feel a little bit low, but honestly, I don't know how much I love from this game. Julius Randle passing has gone way up without RJ Barrett, so that's something to look into. He has 10 and 13 potentials the last 2 games, and that included 10 in only 30 minutes last game, obviously. And Utah-Philadelphia is just weird. Utah's obviously not very good, and they're on the road versus Philly. If they start John Collins at the 5, Joel Embiid, what are we doing? So that has potential to be a pretty ugly game. But yeah, small slate. Tomorrow will be a bigger slate. Let's win some cash. We got some NFL as always. Gonna be a good day of sports.